Welcome, 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 Ragers. I have somebody from my hometown, and this somebody is full of credentials, full of life, full of patriotism for his country, full of love for LA. This is G.I. Joe Collins. Welcome to Red Pill Rage, G.I. Joe.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So, I'll cut this out. I did as much research on you as I could do. And there are so many amazing things that I wanted to highlight, not just about what you're doing now, your fight with Maxine Waters, but then also, you know, just your past, and just kind of, I had a couple questions about who you are.
Okay.
I love the fact that we're both from LA.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Culver City. So I grew up on the west side, Santa Monica, Venice area. Very, very different from how you grew up. You grew up on 104th and Normandy.
Yeah.
I know exactly where that is. Now, we're not even gonna begin to start this interview because I wanted to we just have to take a walk down memory lane. And I know for a fact, Joe, you got some memories about the Slauson Mall. Hit it, hit it.
The Slauson Mall, you can buy anything at the Slauson Mall.
Drugs, cocaine, guns.
Yeah. And I haven't been to the Slauson Mall in a long time. I don't even attempt to go up there.
Nobody will.
Last time I tried to go up there, they had a shooting at the Slauson Mall in the parking lot. I was like, okay, that's everything I need to know about it.
That's basically, but it's been that way since we were kids. And I'm only 4 years older than you.
Yeah.
So it's been that way since we were kids. There's always been violence in that area. Nipsey Hussle got murdered in that area. You know, I've seen a ton of crime in that area. There's it's been built up somewhat, but not that much. But this is the neighborhood that you know. Tell us more about it.
When I was younger, it was normal. You know what I'm saying? There was like gang violence and all that stuff. That was my norm growing up. But, you know, after our house was shot up in a drive-by, we moved out and moved to Texas and then joined the military, 13 and a half years, traveling across the country, across the world. That ain't normal. That ain't normal at all. And it's crazy. I hear a lot of people say, I don't want my kids to grow up like I did, yet they continue to keep their kids in the same environment, which is contradictory to what they just said.
Right.
But, you know, that's why I'm coming back and running for Congress there.
I love it.
Improve it.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, it pretty much, we're going to get to Maxine Waters in a little bit, but I did want to talk a little bit about your Navy service, and it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
I myself am an Air Force brat. I come from a long line of military, ex-military veterans. My grandfather was in the Army. I have a Navy aunt. I have a Marine aunt. I have an Air Force aunt. I have a uncle who was in the Army, and then my mother was in the Air Force as well. My father was a jet engine mechanic.
Okay.
And you worked on an F-18, an E-6, and a Seahawk.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
My first duty station was in Lemoore, and we were on the fighter jets. And I didn't really understand what it is I was doing until we actually went to the boat and I saw, you know, what it is that we were doing, like the mission. And I was like, wow, these are the things that I work on. Then you watch the news, F-18 Super Hornet came through and, you know, attacked this area or attacked that area or destroyed this or destroyed that. And I was pretty impressed. Then I transferred to Oklahoma, and we worked on the E-6. It's equivalent to a 737, 4 inches, huge plane. We did reconnaissance. And so there I was actually boots on the ground. So when we went to Iraq, I was boots on the ground at Iraq doing reconnaissance for Army and Marines. After that, I ran the #1 recruiting station in NRD Dallas, #2 in the nation. Then San Diego, I worked on the E-6.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, you weren't even that far from home. Nice. There is one more thing, and I don't think you've talked about it. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But this kind of it warmed my heart to hear this. You were a counselor for, basically, you were a military SVU counselor. You were a counselor for rape victims in the military. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was a sexual assault and rape victim advocate. So what they do is when you are that, you are a counselor, you are licensed, but they give you an entire region. And when I was in Oklahoma, that's where it started. And so I had I had all of Oklahoma and like neighboring states. And then when I moved to Texas, did the exact same thing. I had the entire state of Texas plus Louisiana and Oklahoma at that point. And it's just like a scary situation when it's nighttime, you get that phone call, I've been raped, I need help, you know, and then you have to go meet that person, take them to the hospital, be with them.
And these are service women that are experiencing this?
Anybody that's military related, you know, so anybody, if you weren't in the military, but you were raped by a commander or commanding officer or something like that, then you were one of the people who I saw. These are also people who were in the military, guys and girls.
Right.
You know? And it's kind of strange to hear men say that I was raped, you know, because people think that men can't get raped, but it happens on a regular basis.
Happens in jail every day.
And so yeah, it's just a scary situation, but you have to have an unbiased opinion about the situation because you get the entire case files. So you get the entire case files, and so you know what happened, you know, and sometimes, you know, people are in the wrong and sometimes they're not in the wrong. And it's just remaining unbiased, not trying to say this person did that, even for the person who assaulted your victim. You can't even place the blame on them. You have to be unbiased 100%. And so it taught me a lot about life.
I feel, you know, it's funny you should use the term unbiased. And I'm gonna backtrack to Maxine, but I'm gonna go forward to a note that really stood out about you in researching who you are and listening to your interviews on other networks. You consider yourself a Joe Collins Republican.
Yeah.
And when you mention your experience in terms of having to remain unbiased, neutral, be compassionate, but then also wait for the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already seeing that and how you're using that in the way that you want to lead.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what is a Joe Collins Republican, because you're a little different than the rest of the people we have here. Tell us how.
So the reason why I say I'm a Joe Collins Republican is because I don't want to be controlled by anybody. And I feel like God gives everyone the ability to make their own choices. And so if God gives people the ability to make their own choices, who am I to try and force you to change your mind and agree with the same things that I agree on? And so I'm not an establishment Republican because there are a lot of things that they do that I don't agree with. A lot of things that they say that I don't agree with. And I'm not a Donald Trump Republican because in the military, they taught me to support every single president, regardless of the political party affiliation. And, you know, just the same, it's a lot of things that he do that I like, and it's a lot of things that he do that I don't like. But I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be grouped. I don't want to be put in a box by anybody, whether it be Democrats or Republicans. And so when people ask me, what type of Republican are you? Are you establishment or Donald Trump? I'm like, no, I'm Joe Collins Republican. I'm a free thinker, and I'm a man at the same time. And so I'm an alpha male.
And you're unbiased.
Yeah, so
I love it.
I don't want to be grouped with anybody.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? You are the new hope, because there's going to come a day, and everyone knows I love Donald Trump, but there is going to come a day where he's going to leave office. Maybe Don Jr. will run. I hope Ivanka wants to run. But when the Trumps, when America gets the Trumps out of their system, we have to ask ourselves, what is next? What is the future? And it's people like you, people like Brandon Strock that I really believe in, because you really are more purple. You really do see everything from both sides. You've lived enough life. You're not, you know, you didn't grow up Republican. Maybe you grew up Democrat. You saw what the Democrats were really doing. The scales have been pulled off your eyes, but it's like, what's next? What's best for the future? And after this war is over, because we definitely need to defeat all Democrats, point blank period. That's my opinion. But after this psychological civil war is over, we need people like you who do have those values, who do see things from both sides, and who are looking to what's best for all, not what's best for my values or your values, what's best for all. So I really respect that about you. I'm gonna tell you a quick little Maxine Waters story, and I just want everyone to know, okay? So I ain't gonna lie, you know, I don't really have anything in my past that I'm worried about, but I will say I did get a ticket that I didn't pay, and I did get a bench warrant very briefly. And when I found out I had the bench warrant, I had to go to the airport court on Century Boulevard. You know where Century Boulevard is. I had to go to airport court to go pay it off, okay? When I was there, I saw Maxine Waters. I don't know what she was doing. This had to be maybe 2006, okay? This was years ago. I saw Maxine Waters, and I never really had much respect for her, but it's also because I didn't live in that district and I didn't know much about her other than she was just Auntie Maxine, the old black lady that was supposed to be some pioneer in politics, but I didn't care for her. Yeah. And I just remember there being so many young women there that were just enamored with her. And I could not believe, she's like the worst celebrity ever. She was so nasty to all of these women who wanted to talk to her, her constituent. I mean, airport isn't technically her district, but it's close enough. Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's close enough to the South Bay. It overlaps. So, you know, all these young ladies who wanted to talk to her, and she just would not give them the time of day. Maxine Waters is you talk about Hillary being a nasty woman. Maxine Waters is a nasty woman. Yeah. She is a crow. She is a hag inside and out. They say good black don't crack. Well, hers has been cracking for 30 years. She's nasty. She's ugly. And her ugliness on the inside reflects on the outside. So I just wanted to share that story. But you yourself had an incident with Maxine Waters when you threw a back-to-school event. Can you tell us about that incident? Yeah,
she sent some of her, I don't even know who these people were. I wouldn't call them gang members because I grew up in gangs. These people weren't gang members. But they were like, they wanted to be thugs. They wanted to be hardcore. And they came to my event. One guy had 2 guns and another guy was trying to say stuff to start fights. And I guess they didn't realize that even though I served in the military, I'm still from the streets, right? And we're in an area called the Vermont Corridor, which is one of the most dangerous areas in South Central Los Angeles. They call it Death Valley, or Death Valley, whatever you want to call it.
Vermont and what?
Vermont in 87.
That seems, yeah.
Yeah.
About right.
And so, I mean, this is one of the first times I had ever had anybody from her campaign come and try to start trouble, but she does on a consistent basis now. But I mean, like, we let those dudes have it. We didn't fight them. But I talked some trash to him, and then after we got him calmed down, and I started explaining a lot of stuff to him, you know. And then some of the dudes quit. They quit working for her. She got this one guy that works for her still, he comes to the event, and I just gave up talking trash to him because I understand that he's only in it for a check. But he came, if he came to our campaign, we'll pay him good. You know,
right?
We got like 73 people that work for our campaign, and they all get paid pretty good. But yeah, this happens on a consistent basis, and I'm unbothered by it now.
So, all right. So I just want everyone to know, when we see Maxine Waters online, you know, there was a video of her, you know, she's always talking about impeachment, reclaiming my time, and all this stuff, and all these, you know, clips, especially, you know, when we were having problems, you know, in 2016, 17, 18, you know, she's basically inciting violence when she's, you know, telling her constituents, telling these Antifa members, you know, harass Republicans in their job, harass Republicans in restaurants, harass them in gas stations. She actually lives that.
Yeah.
So this is not new. This attitude, the inciting violence, the rhetoric, it's not new.
It's not. I mean,
and she's really doing it.
Let's look at her record, right? Rodney King got beat up.
Yeah,
and she enticed that. They destroyed South Central Los Angeles, and she promised she was going to rebuild it. Never got rebuilt.
Hashtag Fedco.
Yeah, and even it happened again in the 70s. It happened in the 60s, and she was there every single time enticing violence. Like it's been. I can think back on Maxine's career, and I've never heard her say anything positive.
Neither have I.
Never. It's always some negative crap coming out of her mouth. And she's still stuck in like the post-slavery Jim Crow redlining era. It's like, lady, get over it and let's move forward. Get out of office. She's been there entirely too long. She's a mess. I'm sick of this lady.
So and what's funny is that she doesn't have a slavery mentality. She's a slave catcher.
Yeah.
She's a slave driver.
Yeah.
That's what she is.
Exactly.
She's the mammy that's getting paid by massa to keep everyone else on the plantation. But she herself doesn't have a slavery mentality, because her mansion is worth $4-something million?
Yeah.
And where exactly does she live again?
Around the corner from the mayor of LA.
And where do they live?
Hancock Park. She got another house already.
Okay, so she's off of Wilshire. Okay, she's off of Wilshire and telling everyone else how to live.
We're gonna build projects for y'all, but I got a mansion. You know, like, get out of here. Like, nobody wants projects anymore. We saw the destruction that comes with projects.
I don't want to talk too much about your discharge, but I do want you to explain briefly how the beef between you guys started, because I believe she said something disparaging about your discharge.
Yeah. So we had this dude, Omar Navarro, who's running for Congress, and he's a human troll. And so he started the rumor that I was dishonorably discharged from the military. And so after we beat Omar Navarro in the primary, she started saying the same thing. And knowing it's not true, we sent her a letter, tell her stop saying that stuff. And she didn't do it, so we filed a lawsuit against Maxine for defamation, slander, and all that. It's a criminal lawsuit too.
Good. Explain briefly, just for the record, the gray area military standards and the administrative separation.
Yeah. So when I got involved in politics, I became a presidential candidate. And now military can't get involved in partisan political activities. But if you do, you have to send a request to the Secretary of the Navy. So I became a presidential candidate first when my paperwork got approved, then I sent my request off. And so, I took an administrative separation, and the choices were to stay in politics and leave the military, or drop politics and stay in the military. And I'm like, well, 13 and a half years, incredible service. I'm highly decorated and everything. I'll just drop the military and I'll head straight into politics. So I took a general under honorable conditions discharge.
And Omar Navarro partnered with Maxine Waters to say that it was a dishonorable discharge?
Yeah.
And they didn't have any facts other than that?
No, Maxine could have easily looked at the public record and saw that I had a general under honorable conditions discharge. She could have easily. She's in Congress. She is one of the people who makes policy for military.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was pretty dumb for her to run that narrative.
I mean, at this point, they'll say anything.
Exactly.
They'll say anything.
I'm unbothered because I think that if you have to lie on somebody, like her first commercial, she said my name 6 times, right, in 1 minute. And if you have to lie on somebody to defame them just so you can continue to win, that tells me, 1, I'm winning, and that tells me, 2, you've done nothing. You know, because if I was an incumbent, I would run on my record. We are doing this. Let's continue good work. Come on, guys. The positive message you can never hear. You know, that's what I would do. But she don't have a positive. He's a Trump puppet, and he's Trump's this, and he's going to dismantle Social Security, and he's working to do this. And I'm like, that never came out of my mouth not one time. Actually, I'm a financial planner, and I know Social Security is trash, you know, but I would never dismantle it. Even with the Affordable Care Act, the mandate to force people to get on it is what causes the cost to be high. So yes, I would remove the mandate, like it's already been done. But you know, low cost insurance and healthcare is important for everybody. So it's kind of, and I spoke about this plenty of times, so it was dumb for her to say it. So she doesn't do research either. That's why we need to improve our education system.
Maxine Waters can't read.
No, she cannot read. And you can listen to her commercials and tell she can't read.
Okay. Reclaiming my time. Better reclaim that education, reclaim them ABCs.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it.
She got to do it. But I mean, that's a product of the education system that she's been pushing. She can't read. She don't want anybody else to read. So.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, she is a slave catcher. For real.
She would be like, what is that dude name from Django Clarence, the black house?
That's who she is.
Up on that nag. You know, that's who she is. You see, oh, he got his stuff together. Oh, yeah. Let me destroy him. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's funny how it's like, I look at Maxine Waters, I look at T.I., they're all slave, even Jay-Z and Beyonce, they are slave catchers. And the thing is, they don't have the poverty mentality.
No,
they don't have the slavery mentality, but they want to make sure everyone else does. That is crazy. Speaking of mentality, and one thing that struck me about watching your videos, and then when you mentioned that you have background in financial planning, you don't have a poverty mentality. You have a wealth mentality. And when it comes to your values and what you want to do in South Central LA, one thing that you mentioned that stuck out to me is not just bringing employment, but bringing quality employment.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, that's part of the wealth mentality. It's not enough to have a job. You want to see employment where people are having careers and they can begin a little bit of savings and they can get out of debt and they can fix their credit scores and they can go on vacations.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your vision for South Central LA. Tell me more.
Yeah, so it's something that we've already started. I'm working with a team and we'll put together an entire financial, I'm an estate planner. I do estate planning and I do life insurance and all that other stuff. But putting together a package where you can utilize trust and estates and you can utilize different insurance policies to build wealth, retirement policies to build wealth. We're putting a package together. We're going to be giving that to the community for free, right? Home buying, wealth building, estate planning, all this stuff, things that people actually need to know about. Because when you ask people, although everyone has their own problems, but the bottom line is money is always going to be a problem. Oh, we need to build wealth. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, if you want to build wealth, let me teach you how to build wealth. If I can teach you how to build wealth, then you can solve all your other problems. Even when it comes to gentrification. Oh, they gentrifying us out of our neighborhoods. Well, if you have money, would you say yes? So gentrification is not the problem. Money is the problem. Finances is the problem. So let me teach you finances so you can live through gentrification. Let me teach you finance so you can bury your loved ones or what have you whenever that time comes. And so financial literacy is important, especially for small businesses. Small businesses do not have any type of financial literacy. And a lot of people, crazy part about small business, I'm sorry to get off.
No, I want to know.
The crazy part about small businesses is people open a business and they say, hey, I have a business, but they are working in their business. That's not the idea of a small business. What you did was you created your own job, right? You didn't create a business. So what a small business is supposed to do is you start a small business and then you have to hire people who are in college to come work your small business. Then you open another one. You open another one. You have a chain like Walmart, or Taco Bell, like McDonald's, right? But people get comfortable. I'm a business owner, yada, yada. No, you're a job owner. You just own your own job, right?
You just don't have a supervisor.
Exactly.
Okay.
So everything that is going through that business is going through you, but you're supposed to have a business, but what you have is another job. So you're employed to your own business, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. And you know what? That affects everyone. I mean, I would love to see a politician with a background in finance who could really have an honest conversation with the American people about financial literacy. Yeah. Nobody's doing that since Ross Perot.
I mean, well, the majority of the people don't even know how to balance a checkbook. I mean, like, we can look at ALC for an example. You went to college, you were a bartender, you got picked by certain people to, you know, push you as a face because they thought you were pretty and everything, but you were a freaking moron, you know, who don't know how to balance a checkbook. You come here and you're poor, get into Congress, now you're wearing $10,000 outfits. Like, lady, come on, man, let's get together.
That one gets a slay. Another major issue, and this is all, not just LA, not just South LA, but all of California. You did touch on this. I noticed you were on Power 106. So shout out, big boy. Is he still on that? Oh yeah. He moved on, or is he still on?
He's still there.
All right.
Yeah, still
I'm old enough to remember when Theo, was it Theo? Remember Theo? Mm-hmm. Was he on Power 106 or Hot 92? Power 106. I'm old enough to remember when every girl was dropping their panties for Theo. Okay, so that's how long. When we talk about Power 106, we're talking about an old school hip hop radio station. Okay, old school.
When he was big boy, he was
when he was really big. He was as big as this table.
Yeah.
When you were on Power 106, and by the way, shout out to Power 106. I was a little concerned that they would be standoffish with you. They were quite respectful.
Yeah. So
shout out to Power 106 for not acting like Charlemagne the God in Breakfast Club.
That's my dude too, Charlemagne. Yes. I think the biggest thing
is
like,
agree to disagree.
People don't know how to get with these dudes on their level. They want to be politically correct. They want to answer questions and try to be nice to gain favoritism. It's like, no, get down to the gritty. You know, if they ask you a question, answer the question. That's just it's what it is. It's not a matter of if you give the right answer. It's a matter of being real.
Well, I've also seen them completely twist around and even not like when Angela Stanton King was on their show, I just about lost my mind.
Well, Angela wasn't mean. She should have been mean. That's what she should have been.
So you think she was being too nice?
She's being nice, yeah.
So it's like basically the Breakfast Club is like the Fight Club. You got to go. Don't bring no knife to no gunfight.
No.
All right, I get it. I get it now. Okay, I can respect that. Homelessness and drugs.
Yeah.
Big problem throughout our entire state. Big problem even in the state of Nevada. big problem in Arizona. The opioid crisis is a problem across the country. But you had some very specific ideas about what you wanted to do in South Central LA to try to help. Go ahead.
So one of the biggest things that we have to do is bring quality jobs back, right? And we have to attack the state of California to lower the cost of living. Taxes and development attribute to the increase in the cost of living. And so we have to attack that. We have to remove a lot of restriction when it comes to development, because with the restriction comes cost. And what developers do is they take the cost and they put the cost down to the people who are going to buy that development, or homeowners or renters who are going to be living in those properties. So we have to be able to attack California, remove the amount of taxes that we pay, and remove the restriction on development. Bring quality jobs back into our community so people can actually have money at the end of the month instead of month at the end of their money. And we also we also have to reopen mental health facilities. This is so important, and we have to encourage. Yeah, and I don't mean like when people think about mental health, they think about insane asylums. Like, we don't need that. We need actual mental health treatment, so people who have mental health illnesses can get the treatment that they need, so they can become productive members of society again. You know, and that's one thing that we don't have anymore. The Constitution says that people who are mentally incapacitated or mentally incapable of making decisions for themselves cannot make decisions for themselves. So how is it that we have so many people living on our streets who is mentally incapable of making decisions for themselves, whether it be from mental health, mental illness, or drugs? Right? So we have to be able to get those people the help that they need. People who are suffering from PTSD, from whatever serious mental injuries that they have from living in the inner cities, they need to get that mental health treatment that they need, also the counseling that they need. And so this is absolutely important. It's not a 100% cure to homelessness, but it'll reduce that 55,000 people at any given night living on the streets in LA to maybe, you know, 400 or 500 people on the streets, which is a huge improvement. Beautiful,
beautiful. I love that, and that's something that specifically affects my heart. I lived in downtown LA. I lived on Spring Street for 3 years, and I had a business on Spring Street too. And every morning, you know, there'd be piss in front of my unit, or someone sleeping in front of my unit, and I've almost completely lost my compassion. Yeah. But I'm just be honest. My followers know how I feel about the homeless. I myself was homeless in the Bay Area, working at not a golf course as nice as this, but I did work at a country club in the Bay Area. The minimum, the membership there was $100,000 a year. I was working 40 hours a week, and I was sleeping in my car, and nobody knew. Yeah. So there are various levels to mental health. I mean, there are different types of homelessness. And, you know, I really want to see a world where we can take care of the homeless, but then, like you said, also take care of the housing crisis, take care of the job issues, take care of the illegal immigration that drives down the wages for blue collar workers such as myself. And I think, you know, we can have an improved quality of life, because I was the type of homeless that you didn't see. And I mean, as far as I'm a little bit of a jerk, but other than that, I don't have any major mental health issues. Very self-sufficient. And there's a lot of people who are homeless who are not just on the street. They're living in their cars, or they're lining up at shelters at 4:45 every single day to try to get beds, or they do work full time, you know, but all their money is going to child support or alimony, or some DUI that they got to pay back, or something like that. So, I mean, for you to understand that it is a combination of drug rehab and bringing quality jobs back, you know, that's something that no other politicians really talk about. Yeah. It's very frank. Thank you.
Well, if you've been in office for a long time, it's impossible for you to talk about it, because it puts a big eye on leadership.
Yeah, because then you have to turn the mirror and look at yourself, and that's something that, you know, the leadership in California will never do. You've raised a lot of money, Joe. You've raised over. I saw one number at 3.1 million and another at 4.3. You've raised a lot of money. You have a lot of support. I saw a video of you with Joy Villa.
That's my girl.
I just saw her in Washington, D.C. praying for the president outside the hospital. Beautiful voice, beautiful woman, good Christian values, body like a goddess, and that dress. She's just amazing. So I'm glad you're friends with her. I don't want to snitch, but I do want to say one thing to my audience. I love the fact that you're a Joe Collins Republican, not necessarily a Trump Republican. I want my audience to know that Republicans can be just as cliquey as Democrats. And we don't want to lose valuable players like this because we're being cliquey. Okay, I'm tired of us being cliquey. You know, I just became a registered Republican recently, even though I was a closet conservative for much longer than that. And I even see it. You know, you say one wrong thing on your Twitter, you say one wrong thing on your Instagram, you lose, you know, a third of your followers who are supposed to hold the same values as you do.
But let me tell you something like this, though. I say what I want to. If you don't like it, I don't care, because they're not giving me money for my campaign anyway. You know what I'm saying? So what is a bunch of followers? The people who support me are the silent majority who ensure that I have, you know, $4.3 million or whatever. You know, and I don't have money from PACs. I got money from people. So whenever my campaign is insolvent, then I'll know I must have really said something wrong. But as long as we killing it and we hiring young people and, you know, we're giving back to the community, I don't care what they say. Doesn't matter to me at all. Some things I agree with, some things that I don't agree with. You know, like criminalizing black men. I don't agree with criminalizing black people. I don't care who you get killed by. Dying is dying, and there is no statute of limitation. There is no right or wrong way to die. When you die, your hearts go out to the families of the person who died. You know, we don't have to criminalize every single person. That's one of my biggest things. What was the point of President Trump passing criminal justice reform just to continue to criminalize people who have criminal backgrounds? That's the most ignorant thing in the whole entire world. So I don't have to agree with anybody. And I don't care if they like me or not. They got to vote for me anyway. Because they don't have a choice. It's me or Maxine Waters. You got to vote for Maxine Waters because you don't like what I said. Whatever, cool. I'm going to win anyway.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. You know, you have a very independent spirit, and I love that about you. You have a Sigma personality. I'll tell you what a Sigma is later. I'll tell you guys what a Sigma is later. You have a Sigma personality, and you really truly are an alpha male. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we need: independent thinkers, purple thinkers who are on the right side, but mostly purple, but also on the right. That's what we need, and we need individuals like this who are ready to take on the establishment. See, this guy's not scared. This guy's been, you were in Operation Iraqi Freedom. This guy's not scared. But Maxine Waters has a lot of people intimidated, but you're not. So thank you, and I wish you the best on your campaign. If I was still living in LA, I would make sure to vote for you, but I'm not. I'm registered up in Oakland, and it's a whole battle up there.
You guys,
it's a whole battle. Real quick before we go, I want to know what is your do you have a hidden talent? Something fun for the audience to learn about you.
Yeah, I like to ride horses. I can break horses. I broke a few horses whenever I was in Mexico, and I fish, and I like to sing.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, when I get my voice back, it's all karaoke night.
All right, cool.
I am like the karaoke queen. I actually can sing, but I lost my voice yelling at Antifa.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it used to be better. Joe, just real quick, tell me the utopia that you want to see for South Central. A realistic utopia, a feasible utopia.
I don't know about utopia, but I can tell you that I want to improve the quality of life of the people who live in the communities. So my plan is I have 5. Most people say, no, only have 3. Let me have 5 because you can't have one without the other. I want to rebuild the infrastructure of the district to support the expansion of small businesses and housing that people can actually afford. I want to improve the relationship with the law enforcement. We're working on these things already. I want to bring quality jobs back to our communities, overhaul education and financial literacy.
Beautiful.
It's a start. You know, once we get people on the right track and building wealth and living comfortably, then we can tackle major issues.
I love it. I love it. And those are issues that are nonpartisan. Those are issues that everyone can get behind. There's no agenda behind this other than improving the quality of life. That's the only agenda we want.
Yeah, for sure.
How does everyone find you or donate to your campaign?
So my website is joecollinsforcongress.com. Donations are important. We have to win up until November. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Collins for Congress 43 and Twitter, Joe Collins 43.
Beautiful.